Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Happy Thursday for me over here in the States. Some of you might already be Friday. But thanks for being here. We're going to check out some cool, weird music tech, a couple of key pieces of weird music tech that have arrived in my studio today that I purchased because I'm just into weird music tech these days. This is one of the pieces of gear we'll talk about today, and keep me posted on how the volume levels are, if y'all can hear the music in my voice at appropriate levels. This is called Orbita. As you can see, it's like a spinning sequencer with these magnetic, colorful chips. So if we add more chips to the sequence, we can get additional notes, which is pretty cool. We'll talk all about this today. We don't like that. Try that. But this is really fun. You can change the speed of it. And right now, it's currently just a MIDI controller, USB MIDI controller. Oh, I've slowed it down so slow. So currently, it's just connected to Ableton Live. We will also today check out this other piece of gear that I just got, which was kind of just released this week. It's called the Pocket Scion, which is just a small pocketable synth with, I know this is an international audience and there's quite a few folks that can't tune in at certain times because of time zone things. But Sanatan, how are you doing today? Thank you for joining me. Looks like my chat overlay situation is not quite working the way I want it to. But Dior says it's like a physical version of Harmony Bloom. Yes, a lot of people mentioning Harmony Bloom, which is a very popular, or I've seen it's very popular in reference to the Orbita. Matt Makes Noise, thank you for being here as well. Sorry, usually I'm able to pull up your chats on screen, but sometimes the overlay link gets reset, so I have to change that. And there's no real way to know that that's happening until I go live, unfortunately. But in theory, it would work, but today, not so much so. But I'll try to give it a refresh and see if it does. Oh, I got it to work. Yeah, Harmony Bloom is well worth looking at if you haven't already. Yeah, so I'm thinking I'm going to make a full, not a full video about the Orbita, but I will be making a long form video that features the Orbita, and I think I should check out Harmony Bloom at the same time, because a lot of people have presented it as a good alternative. So, have many people used Harmony Bloom before? What would you say the big, what should I focus on when I talk about Harmony Bloom, or what should I check out when testing it for the first time? Let me know. I was thinking Harmony Bloom 2. I use Harmony Bloom a ton. Yeah, accent. That's interesting. You use it a ton. I would have never guessed. And also, if you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from today. It's fun to see where all the music tech nerds are out there in the world, you know? I think we're all kind of into... It's interesting because you might be in your local community and you might not know, or you might not have anybody around you that's into this weird music tech stuff. But there's a lot of us out there. It's kind of a nice, fun little niche, you know? So I've been tinkering around with these two pieces, Orbita, Pocket Scion. I've also been teaching a college class, which has been fun and keeping me busy. Been teaching some modular synthesis stuff with VCV Rack, and of course some Ableton Live stuff. I had to sub for a class this week, and I actually had to sub for a class on 909 day, so I made it a little bit about, you know, 909 and a little tiny bit of the history on the 808 and 909 drum machines. And then the class was learning Ableton Live, and they had learned Impulse, which is a drum machine in Ableton Live. So we kind of used that as a jumping off point to continue some of the stuff they were learning about Impulse, which is really, really fun. So is Harmony Bloom a plugin, Harmony Bloom. Let me check it out here. MIDI generator. Is it a plugin? Is it an app? It's like a desktop app. Oh, and it's available on iPad. That's very interesting. I'm very interested in that. Here, let me show off what's going on here. Harmony Bloom. Not a bad price. So it says desktop. Yeah, okay, so like VST. I wasn't sure if it was like a standalone app or something like that. Let's see the complete
Welcome
overview.
To this Harmony Bloom tutorial. So Harmony Bloom
Cool.
is a sequencer. You use it before any instrument you have, and when you play a key, it will start triggering different notes.
I see. So it's key triggered, and then the circle is just rhythm. Is that what I'm gathering?
It works is by making different shapes spin inside the circle, and each time one of these white dots goes through one of these lines, it will trigger a note.
Got it. Oh yeah, it seems like there's different notes in there as well.
Now, of course, it can be a little bit confusing looking at it as
Yes,
it is, so
yes.
let's go to the initial patch. For that, you just have to press this button right
All right, cool. Yeah, if this is available on iPad especially, if I could use the iPad as a MIDI controller, or at least just load up some samples in Koala maybe and send MIDI from Harmony Bloom into Koala, that could be an immediate use case I could see.
Same line, they are triggered at the same time. Each time they go through this
Mario has a lot of stuff on his YouTube. Who's Mario? I apologize for not knowing. Is Mario this person talking?
And the circle itself.
It is standalone too. Okay. Very, very cool. Yeah, a lot of people were pointing this out in the comments about the Orbita. Oh, the dev. Okay, thank you.
Them by pressing these little circles. The speed on which the white dots
Let's see.
go around and around depends on the
So I bought this Orbita my own money. I also have been tracking this product, following this product since NAMM 2 years ago. If you go back and watch my video from NAMM, I think two or 3 years ago, they were showing a version of Orbita at NAMM, and I immediately knew this is something that I want. I really like unique music technology, but I'm a music technology enthusiast. Oh, where are we back up? Sorry, did we lose the stream for a bit? It's back now. I got green on my little signal up there. Sorry about that if we had an interruption. Hopefully we won't have any more. I'll try my best to troubleshoot if we do. Hello, Azkara from Puerto Rico. Thanks for watching from your studio in Florida. Here learning from this community. Excellent. Azkara, did I see you just commented on a video or something talking about circuit tracks? Am I making that up? Are we back up, folks? I hope the stream is back up. So what I was saying is, this is a really niche product, right? And of course, as we just discussed, Harmony Bloom exists. There's obviously software alternatives to most music tech, I would say, and most sequencing options. And I would say probably there's more software options than hardware options because I think probably the process of building a physical product is a lot more cumbersome than making software. Not that making software is easy by any means, but when you have to make inventory and do quality control and things like that, or you have something that drives on a physical belt, right? That could for sure be that could for sure hinder a lot of people who have big ideas. So people end up making software, which is really cool. But all of that is to say, I think some people get really caught up in the idea that if you see somebody talking about something on YouTube, that I'm basically trying to say, you gotta buy this thing, you have to buy this thing. And that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying hey, it's me. I'm here. I'm a music tech enthusiast. So I'm going to buy some weird stuff because I'm really, really highly interested in this stuff. And not just as a music tech enthusiast, but also as somebody who likes to find creative ways of making music. So is this the most efficient sequencer? Is this going to help you make, beats that are going to get you a placement or something like that? No, and that's not really the conversation that we have. I mean, it's a tool and you can use it however you want. You can use it to accomplish whatever means that you want. But when we talk about music tech, I'm not always in the headspace of trying to find the most efficient music tech and the most efficient solutions to things, you know what I mean? And I feel anytime we reach a broader audience, it people get really caught up in that idea of like efficiency in music tech. Like if you're not using a $99 MIDI controller that has all of the features, then why would you even bother? But it's like, can't we just have fun? You know what I need? You know what I mean? Exactly, accent. Sometimes you just want to have fun. I just don't, and that gets lost on people. So I think you'll rarely find videos from me that say, hey, this new thing is the best thing ever and you have to buy it. Like you're rarely gonna see that from me. You're never gonna hear me say like, throw out your old gear and buy this new one, you know, like in very rare cases. So, but I think people come into it with that mentality. I don't know where that comes from. It's very strange. Askar says, I just needed something portable and quick on the go instead of my Akai Force and MPC key. Nice. Yeah, I think you'll have a great time with the Circuit Tracks. And if you picked it up for $200, even better. Congrats on that purchase. And also don't sleep on the free packs for the Circuit Tracks, because when I was making that video that I just uploaded today, I didn't realize there was a pack by an artist called Blank Forms, who's like a really fantastic ambient artist. Really, really cool. This dude makes really cool stuff. But he's got a free pack on there, and there were a couple other ones that I didn't know were available. But definitely connect your Circuit Tracks to the computer and download the free packs and stuff. What's up, Armas? Thank you for being here. Welcome to the stream. We're just having fun, chatting for a bit. We'll get into the fun of the Orbita and the Pocket Scion in a bit, but I like to start the streams just chatting with folks, answering questions. So whatever's on your mind, doesn't have to be music tech related. We can chat about it. You know, let's just have fun. Fun should be the point, says Deor. I agree. I mean, at some point, like, music making devices are tools by capturing and sharing my process through like educational or entertaining content. And that's just kind of that's a thing that's relatively new in the music industry, I think. I don't know if there's any other time in history where you could record everything that you're doing in your studio and broadcast to an international audience and be on a platform like YouTube where it's ad driven and artists can earn money. You know, I just think it's interesting. There's all different models. Oh, it was buffering again. Sorry about that. I think that it's not on my end. It could be a YouTube issue. See if you can just refresh the stream. Look, my Orbita installed as well. Try refreshing the stream. I'm not seeing red on my signal, so could be a YouTube issue. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat. Refreshing doesn't work, but we're back, right? We're back. How long is it dropping for? Let me know. We're good. I won't dwell too much. So sorry if it's happening. It seems like possibly YouTube might be having some issues. Seems like it's happening kind of universally, which is interesting. I'll keep an eye on my signal. Tom says, unfortunately, there are other channels that drive that feeling. I'm jealous, yes, but only because I would love one, but can't justify the cost yet. Give me time, LOL. Such a fun way of sequencing. Yeah, I think, like, you know, I don't care at all about cars. I know a lot of people care about cars. I've never really spent, like, real money on cars. The last car I bought was, like, $10,000 or $12,000, which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money in terms of how much you can spend on a car. Now, when I walk down the street and I see some cool looking car, I'm like, wow, that's cool, but I'm not necessarily like gonna go spend my money on it. If I were rich, I could buy like whatever car I wanted. I could buy any car just because it looks cool, right? Or if like reviewing or testing different cars was my job, then investing in a fancy car would be a worthwhile investment. Now, music tech, we're talking a much smaller scale, but if you're talking like $400 to $500 for a very niche, specialized product, that's not going to be for everybody. And it's definitely a nice to have thing, almost like a luxury rather than something like a utility, right? So Just don't feel like you have to keep up with everybody. There's always going to be things in life that you wish you could have, but we have to decide how to spend our resources, right? Oh, Arma says, I know personally the Orbita developers and am waiting my Pocket Scion to arrive, so that stream is def for me. Nice. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, sorry about the YouTube buffering issue. It looks like we got a strong connection over here, so I'll just keep rolling through it. So if you do get a little disruption in the stream, I apologize, but it seems to be out of my control. So let me just jump in and let's talk through Orbita and like how it works. I'm sure many of you have seen the process. So you've got this spinning disc, right? And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rings within that disc, right? Those rings represent octaves. So the smallest circle here is our lowest note. And by the way, the sound that you're hearing is just a synth loaded in Ableton Live. So it's just receiving MIDI from the USB from the Orbita. And that's just what we're hearing. That's not what I want. What do I want? Sure, let's do that. So that inner ring is the lowest notes. I can put multiple rings. And every time a note crosses the path of this little sensor here, we get a note triggered. Now, each of the different colored chips has a note associated. So we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So let's go ahead and throw an F on there. Green is the F. So we can have like a 1. Hey y'all, are we back? Are we back? Welcome back, welcome back. So we've got this sequence going on Orbita now, which is quite nice. Like I said, speed it up, slow it down. But there's a little more we can do with Orbita as well. So if you notice, each of these lanes has light associated with it. So we can mute each of these lanes. So let's go ahead and turn on the innermost ring. Let's turn on the outermost ring. So we're just essentially muting the MIDI signals that are being transmitted from the rings. I'll put one more chip on here. Let's find a G. Because we can take that one level deeper, basically. So, what we can do now... Oh, hello, Real J. Thank you for being here. Thanks for the kind words. Welcome. We're just checking out a cool little sequencer here. So what we can do now is we can actually record turning those mutes on and off. So I'm going to play the sequence and then tap this A right here, which puts us into sort of a record mode. So I'm going to mute these first two and then unmute them. Then I'm going to do a similar kind of motion here on number 2. Similar motion here on number 1. Turn it back on. Let that cycle through again. And then I'm going to get out of record mode by tapping that again. And you'll see that these lights will now turn on and off. I've essentially recorded that MIDI automation. It's basically just like recording automation, mute on and off. This is confusing? No, it's not confusing at all. It's not confusing at all. Just take a look at what's happening. So I'll pause, I'll stop the wheel from spinning. Every chip is a different note. Red is C. Every ring is an octave, so higher or lower. And as the notes pass through this sensor, they trigger. They make sound. Now, as it loops, I can turn tracks on and off, and I can record that on and off automation. Even more so, we can record the speed as well. Speed changes, I should say. So let's go back into record the loop mode, and let's turn the speed up. Sorry, I'm not actually recording. Here we go. Let's slow it down. Then let's loop that. So now we should start to see it speed up and slow down. Maybe that's not obvious enough. Is it obvious enough? I'm not sure. Real J, if you want that kind of advice, you can just type into the YouTube search bar, TAETRO, how to start. And I've got plenty of videos there for you. But today we're going to focus on the weird music tech. Ecstatically natured. So is the speed MIDI controllable? So I'm not 100% sure if I know what you mean. So we can control the speed of this, and then we can control the speed changes. I'm not sure if we can externally control the speed with MIDI. That's digging around with the 12 beta. Any more updates from that? Basic bell. I mean, this could get us close to a wind chime sound to start with. Sorry if YouTube dipped again for some folks. Apologies. That's really pleasing. I've talked about this on a couple streams, but I've tried to make a new effects rack that almost mimics the hologram microcosm pedal. So let's put that on there. Let's not lose too much of the original sound, so I'll pull back on some of that dry wet. It's pretty cool, right? Once we get this sound locked in, I'll come back to the Orbita and we'll start having more fun with the sequencing. How do we like that sound? So, I guess for me, one big reason that I'm always looking for new ways to interface with music or bring music to life, right? Because in digital music, it can always feel like so abstract, like it's just in the computer. But here, I get to interact with like a real, something that's actually moving in this space, like it's actually kinetic, right? And I'm somebody who came from like a singer-songwriter-y kind of background, so I was used to playing like acoustic guitar and just singing, and like that's very just in the real world, strings resonating. With electronic music, we kind of lose that real kinetic, real world connection. when we're just in software all the time. So something like this, where like what you see is what you hear, is really intriguing. Sometimes I want to quickly get a chip off and it gets chaotic. So I think it's really easy to get lost in this process. So there's like a meditative aspect to it, but also there's a aspect of it that I think would be fun just to generate samples with, right? But here's the real life scenario proof test. Can you make a melody / famous riff with it? So again, I don't know if this is like a serious comment or not, but like, why would I take this tool? I think that this is really where people get caught up, is like, why would I take this super unique tool that you're meant to interface with instruments in an unconventional way, and why would I try to force it into creating something super conventional? It doesn't make sense. Like, if I wanted to do what you're saying, if I wanted to go rewrite Michael Jackson's Thriller bass line, ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum, I would sit at my keyboard and I would play ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. I wouldn't try to recreate this on the Orbita. It would 100% be possible. You can see how it would be possible. These are just circles, so you can do the math, you can shape the rhythm, things like that, but there's no point in Owen says, just joined in. How's everybody doing? What's good? Owen, we've been having a little connectivity buffering issue, but I hope we're overcoming that. Lends itself to ambient really well. Yeah, because I think with ambient, there's a lot of connection between nature and ambient music, right? So if we consider like this looping motion, speed changes, right? We can have that almost like mimic something like the wind, which is why I wanted to pick sort of a wind chimey kind of sound. Now I've just recorded a bunch of that motion to have the loop be a little less monotonous. Hopefully. It would be cool if eventually they could add some probability or something to interfacing with it, rather than just like kind of mutes on and off. I have experienced this though, when you reach such a low speed, sometimes it will stop moving altogether, which is interesting. And also this sort of belt. The belt's got a little like kind of chip in it, so it kind of, I don't know. It's like alive. It's got a mind of its own. But I think that will be the one sticking point. It's like, since this is a physical thing moving into space and it's got this belt. I mean, I just recently replaced a belt in one of my 4-track tape recorders, and this thing will wear out eventually. So obviously maintaining hardware like this is a lot different than having an app that if there's no bugs, you're essentially able to use it forever. There's also Not an app, but maybe an app. There's an editor essentially where you can edit the MIDI messages that it sends. So I think things could get even more creative if you consider that you could send something other than just note data too. Good point. I mean, it is a test just to know how far it can go, but of course it's not for that. Yeah, well, the how far it can go is like you're seeing what's possible with your eyes, right? So you can sequence notes over time. So you can automatically see right away that if you wanted to write Mary Had a Little Lamb, well, of course it would have to be a loop, but if you wanted to write a simple loop riff, it's 100% possible, just like it's possible on a linear sequencer. A lot of people have pointed out that it would be nice if they included some radial lines, which I definitely agree with, because first of all, as the rings get bigger, the rate of the outer rings gets slower. And also it'd be really easy to see sort of like where quarter notes would be, like dividing that center circle into fours, so you could see exactly where it lands. But it's not impossible to eyeball. And also, like, what does tempo even mean on a spinning surface where the spin rate could be quite different? This is so funny. I'm gonna just turn up some of the... So for this, by the way, for this effects rack, I've combined a couple different Arturia plugins, main one being Fragments, which is really great. Responsive reverses preset. But maybe let's just record this as a little sample. Welcome, y'all. Thanks for sticking by through the technical issue. Not sure what the issue is. I'm just kind of sampling this right now. I think this will make it pretty great. Great material to sample, perhaps in the granular synth or something. So this is a lot of fun to generate. So I've captured this as audio. I'll stop it from playing now so we get a nice natural fade. And then, you know, in Ableton Live, and this is really where I see having the most fun, like I talked about earlier, not really going for the conventional music making approach with this. But if now we grab Granulator, and could what we've just accomplished be accomplished with many other pieces of gear, many other sequences? Yes, but again, I like to think of it as being about the process. So we take that sample now and we put it into granulator. We could put it into clouds mode perhaps. Scan through the sample. Let's try to get some texture going. Where did you go? Oh, here. Let's find another position. Let's go ahead and change. Oh, buffer's already at 512. That's interesting. We could run it once again through this effects rack. Paste that here. Grains on grains, if you know what I mean. We get like a really interesting texture. I'll get rid of the speed changes for now. And maybe, perhaps, I think this is something you can program on the Orbita device itself, but instead I'll go into MIDI effects and I'll just grab a pitch MIDI effect, and I'm going to pitch the whole MIDI input up an octave. Why is that not working how I want it to? So there we go. Now we've got this. Let's go much slower. Maybe I'll pitch the sample up 12 semitones as well. Now we're really getting a little zen here. And I don't know what this is, but it's something. I think we should certainly record this as well, right? resample this. Make some changes to the sound as we record it. Get some lower notes in there as well. Alright, yeah, sorry if we had a little hiccup there. But now we've got this sample material, so I was able to capture a couple let's pause Orbita for now, but yeah, now we've got a couple pieces of nice sample material. I'm not sure how I'll use it yet, but that's kind of the beauty of making sample material. You're not thinking about the end result. And there's a lot of different material in there as well. And then this one, we're kind of like 2 generations of sample away, right? So that is the Orbita for now, but I figure we can transition real quick, and because, I don't know, there seems to be a YouTube issue happening where the stream experience is probably not great if it continues to cut in and out for y'all, but if y'all are sticking around, I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and talk about the Pocket Scion now, which is pretty cool. I'll zoom in on this for y'all. So this is cool. It dropped earlier this week, I think, from a I don't do a ton with like modular hardware, but Instruo, in collaboration with an artist named Modern Biology, created this. Just a little pocket synthesizer. So let me just show it at the basic level. I will just run audio out from the Pocket Scion. Here, I'm going to move Orbita out so we don't have any accidents. So here we go. Pocket Scion, it's connected via audio. Let me get you all some audio in, and we'll be able to hear what this synth sounds like. Power up. It's got a very cool general aesthetic to it, right? Now without any other... Oh, my interface. I actually just got a new interface, so I have to do the input configuration. That's funny. Here we go. And here we go. And I'm going to boost that signal a little bit for you. Stand by. We've got sound coming in 3, 2, 1. So I'm triggering this just with touch on this little section below, right? And this will react to organic material, right? So if I press it with this pen tip, I'm not triggering anything at all. Electrical impulses, I'm not going to explain the science because I don't fully understand it, but organic material generates electrical impulses that it uses to trigger this synth. Now, this is one of 4 built-in sounds here. You can switch to another one, kind of a brassy. Followed by a more plucky. Very pleasing. So it's essentially just converting this input signal that it's getting into something musical. And then this one is more noise oriented. Almost mimics nature in a way, like wind sounds. I'll switch back to the first preset. That's very musical. So on its surface, this is just, it's not a controller, it's a synth. You trigger it by touch, or you can trigger it by touch. Another way it can be triggered is with these attachments here. Let me zoom out a little bit. And like I said, with the electrical impulses from organic material, we can generate sound. So plants become really interesting ways of triggering a synth. And what I love is that they've programmed 4 really great sounds that you can select from that are like really just generally pleasant, right? So as it receives any kind of electrical information that it can convert to generating these tones. So the connection to the plant isn't affecting like the timbre of the synth. That's already something that's kind of predetermined, but the signals it receives is what's triggering the synth. And based on how they've built this machine, you can hear different things happening. You can hear different reverses. Of course, different note triggers. And it becomes like its own little living thing, right? Just sit there and let the plant play. Zen out with the plant. So what do we think? I mean, interestingly enough, $149 they price this at, which I think is pretty affordable in today's market for a niche piece of music tech that probably, I mean, I don't know what materials costs are these days, but I think it's a reasonable price for this. I'm Orange said the plant is talented. I agree. So it's also got a USB. Slightly disappointing is that it's a micro USB, which I found really surprising in 2025, but nonetheless, we can connect via USB. And this will send MIDI as well. So we're getting the MIDI from the plant. Let me turn off this audio track, which is receiving audio from the synth. And let's go ahead and arm this bell instrument, which can receive MIDI from the synth. I think I'll do an octave up here as well. So these notes that it's allowed to trigger, they're sort of predetermined. There is a programming app, not a programming app, that makes it sound more fancy than it is, but there's a controller sort of app for this, where you can determine each of the 4 presets, which are essentially each of the 4 synth presets that I demoed. They have their own settings, so they have their own scales. I haven't dug deep into the different, so obviously we're hearing the different voices. There's different MIDI CCs as well. There's also the option to send multi-channel MIDI. So you can see each one of those voices is coming in as a different MIDI channel, which could get actually really interesting. Here, let's actually assign MIDI channel 1 to this first instrument. And then what happens if we assign MIDI channel 2 to the granular? So I think there's a, oh gosh, everybody stop. There is a pitch situation here. So let's go ahead and find a nice drift preset. Let's find something a little different than the original sound. We'll keep it in the mallet space. We'll receive from channel 2 in. So now they're both receiving MIDI, but different MIDI signals, because there's 4 channels of MIDI going out. So we can assign those to all different inputs. Let's go with another track. Let's get this from channel 3. We can mix these accordingly. Again, all this being generated by the electrical impulses from the plant, then being converted to multi-channel MIDI signals. So let's find one more. Let's make one more track. That could be interesting. Channel 4. So now I think we've created a really dreamy setup here. Impulses, right? So we don't get any more sound. If I complete the circuit myself, obviously I'll be able to trigger the sounds. Here, let's go back in the MOS. Complete the circuit. Get the sound going again. Oof. All right, let's go in. So take a look on the back. So all these connections is making this difficult. So you do have like volume control here. I believe you can do transposition as well. On, off. There's a TRS MIDI here if you want to control hardware. A way to switch the voices, and then obviously we're plugged in with the sensor and the USB. 3 AAA batteries, by the way, so very pocketable, very portable. Just a fun thing to bring out in nature and zone out with. Zoom it out again. So yeah, we have got this routed in Ableton Live. It's sending multi-channel MIDI. You can see that there's MIDI coming in on 4 different MIDI channels. Different MIDI, by the way. Maybe we could record MIDI across these channels so we can get a look at what it's actually generating. That's not really what I wanted to happen. Here we go. Ah, you stop over there. So each one of these tracks, we're getting notes of varying lengths, varying pitches. And this is customizable in the app, which I haven't gone deep with. But you can see that we were able to switch to multi-channel. It does say there's 5 voices, so maybe... So that's interesting. I don't seem to be getting a 5th voice from this. And then this says, open sound control time data from the Pocket Scion is streamed by the app on the specified OSC port. Oh, I see. So it's like MIDI OSC. So it looks like we can get even further MIDI signals beyond just note and length. But you can see that we can select scale notes as well, right? So we can add D in there. Again, definitely not advocating for either of the tools we talked about today as being like the most efficient music making tools, but sometimes when you interface with music in different ways and it makes things more interesting, it can have an influence on the creative process, which however you want to spend your time, right? In your creative process, I think we should lose a little bit of judgment on that, and judging other creatives based on like how efficient they are or how productive their output is. Who cares? I'm making cool sounds, you know? Funny enough, the Playtronica, the Orbita devs have their own take on the same concept as Pocket Scion. It's called Biotron. But that one wins. Seems more practical and aimed at musicians. Yeah, this seems a lot more flexible than some of the Playtronica stuff. Biotron. I've never quite been interested in the whole connect your thing to a bunch of fruits and then use the fruits as MIDI triggers. That seems like it's not really solving a problem. But I haven't checked out the Biotron, which seems like just a controller. But this being a whole synth where like you can just plug headphones in and like kind of zone out. I don't know, I like that. I like that concept. I'm wondering if these rings are representative of the MIDI channels, or if the LEDs are somehow reflecting the different MIDI channels. I'll have to look a little more into it. But these are just 2 pieces of music tech that I feel really intrigued. No, it's cool to see that's being executed. So more innovation, more just kind of like weird little projects like these, I think is good for the music tech space. So if you see folks out there being like overly, it's okay to be critical of companies, of products, you know, but if you see people who are kind of like losing the forest for the trees, just kind of like, let's try to cultivate a more positive, open-minded music tech community, especially on platforms like Reddit or social media. Like, on my Orbita video, there's many people who are like asking like, what's the point? What's the advantage? It's like, is it always about the advantage? Is it always about the efficiency? Also, if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's totally cool. I think as we've discussed today, some of these products, like if you're just trying to get your basic needs met in terms of music making, then one of these more niche devices is definitely not for you. But once your basic needs are met and you're sort of like extending out your creative approach, that's when these kinds of devices end up being more interesting. So it's okay if it's not for you right now. Maybe it'll be for you someday, or maybe it won't be for you at all. It's not all about efficiency. But that's all I gotta say on that. If anybody has any final questions, I'm happy to answer them before we go. But we'll probably wrap up today. I know it's been a technically challenging stream, so. I'd buy this just for the idea itself. I'm glad devices like these are being made. Yeah, I feel very similarly. I feel very much the same on that front. I think we're in a good spot as it comes to music tech. If I think about when I started this journey of like getting into music technology, like getting my first launch pad, trying to make these looping performances and things like that, we've come so far, like with what we're actually capable of doing with hardware and software, especially the computers. The way the price of like very capable machines have come down, it's pretty crazy. Totally agree. Can't wait to use Pocket Scion to trigger my hardware synths. Yeah. I mean, we're just sitting here right now jamming to this ambient track, and you know, I'm recording all this. I think it's pretty awesome. It's doing a good job. I could probably tailor these voices a little bit more, but it feels cool. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out despite any technical challenges we had today. I'll try to be back next. Actually, there'll be no stream next week, unfortunately, but I'll be back with more videos really soon. I'm working on stuff with Push, like a Push beat making kind of walkthrough. That's pretty standard stuff. I'm also working on videos featuring these items here. I've been doing a lot with shorts lately. Shorts are reaching a lot of people these days, so it's really interesting. If y'all have ideas of short form content you want to see, maybe a short form series, I'm definitely down for that, but I'll keep chugging along on the long form stuff too. For channel members, thank you so much for your support. If you want to become a channel member and support the channel, that goes a long way. And also you can get some exclusive content. So I'm releasing early episodes of my Launch Key Mini for Beginners series. I'm launching that early, every episode early for beginners. But yeah. Oh, and also like I did a 15-minute sort of ambient session with Orbita and the Arturia Mini Freak. I put that as a video available for members. It's kind of just 15 minutes of changing the sequence on Orbita and then changing the sounds on the MIDI Freak. I think it's a pretty fun session. So definitely check that out if you're a member and you haven't seen it yet. Nightbot just dropped in the chat. We've got a new sample pack out called Artifact. So if you need some new sounds to sort of inspire your music making process, you know, it can be cool. As a documentation process, this is awesome. I love photography when I travel. Now imagine you can go to Rome and sample the plants from your favorite courtyard at sunset or your favorite national park. I think it's great. I think relating music to photography is something I like to do a lot as well. Beep boop. So thanks. I totally hear you on the imagine stressing about music tech, like min-maxing music gear. Unfortunately, that's like what a lot of the community falls into. And I think it's this unfortunate situation where I feel like, hey, I know more than you, dumbass. Like that's kind of the energy a lot of people approach online discourse and music tech with, and it's unfortunate because it really mirrors the elitism of like the classical music world, or the traditional music world, I should say. And it's a shame because the music tech world is kind of a newer, burgeoning space where we have the opportunity to be much more welcoming and not be elitist and not put other people down and not feel like we're victims every step of the way. You know, so many people I think feel. I was watching the Octatrack Tonverk launch video yesterday, and so many people in the chat act like they're victims because Electron isn't making the piece of gear that they wanted them to make. It's just a very odd mentality. So I don't know. I hope we can continue to foster this small, positive international community. Tom brings up Beattober. We're gonna have a great Beattober this year. October is going to be a fantastic month for this community. We're going to have so much fun and positivity. So, but y'all are out there in the world. Just be careful in the online spaces. Try to cultivate positivity in those online spaces, and also just try to connect with the real world community as well if you can. Try to encourage positivity. Don't feed the trolls, that sort of thing. And if you're in a position to like moderate some of those spaces, just nip it in the bud. I used to argue back and forth, but these days it's like I gotta just cultivate my community. So of course, like criticism is welcome here. It's not like you can't say anything bad about anything in this community, but if you come in and you're just sort of like have bad intentions, or you're just speaking rudely and you're not really offering criticism, you're just kind of being rude, then it's just like you just automatically get hidden. You can never speak in this space again. And that's may seem harsh, but you know, we have to start somewhere. Like, whether or not behavior is tolerated, you know, what kind of space do I want to cultivate? You can go to other places online and that maybe aren't moderated like that and speak, but not in my space. It's like you're coming to my house and like telling me that my decor is ugly. It's like, okay, well, you can leave. Right? Bobby, thanks for tuning in. I hope the replay is watchable. We had a couple technical issues and technical drops. The tech victim space is not limited to music tech, unfortunately, though it is most disappointing in the music tech space, in my opinion. I agree, because, you know, anybody can buy a phone, anybody can buy an iPad, right? That's like a general audience, less niche. But in music tech, it's like we're all supposed to be artists, right? We're all supposed to be like making stuff. We're kind of all in this together. We're almost like a class of workers that like is very easily exploited by upcoming, you know, AI technologies that threaten to replace us, right? So the human part of artistry and music is ever more important in this age. I think we have to keep that at the forefront of our minds and not fight each other, and not like, I think a lot of, like, from my perspective, a lot of folks online like to demonize artists like me who share their process and get sponsored to make content on social media. But it's like, if you didn't trust me to begin with, then you shouldn't be watching the content, first of all. And then second of all, how do you expect, like every artist is sustaining their work one way or the other. So if I've started this channel out of my love and passion and experience with music technology, why are you surprised or offended when I become sponsored by the very brands who, like, I've been working with their stuff for years and years? Or why are you surprised when I'm excited to take a sponsorship to explore new music technology, right? Like, why is that surprising? It's probably not surprising, but there probably is some kind of like deep-rooted envy, perhaps, or, you know, people wish they were in a certain position, right? People wish they could afford the things that are being showcased, and they feel like the person presenting the things is the one that's stopping them from being able to do that, when it's like not really that, you know? It's not that at all. Dancing in a Dream, you made it. You made it late. Yeah, Bobby, you weren't last. True. Envy says, don't even absorb that energy. Yeah, it's a daily process, James, of deciding like what's worth responding to, what's not worth responding to, and just making sure that the community is curated. Dancing in a Dream, send me more information about that. I don't know. Tell me what it's all about.